Okay, so now we're going to get into looking at some of the other tools that are in the Annotate tab. We've gone through the basics of creating some parts of the model, done some areas, then looked at doing the schedules, and the schedules, just a reminder, are available here. We're going to look at the Annotate tab and start using some of these tools to do some dimensioning. Then we'll move into some of the other features. So dimensioning is pretty easy. You can do aligned, linear, and again these will just show you what it means when you're doing the linear, angular, radial, diameter, arcs, and then you've got spot elevations as well for coordinates or for slabs or top parapets, etc. So the easiest one to use is to use the aligned tool. Use the aligned one, and it's always going to tell you to automatically save your project. Now, the simplest way to do this is to set up how you want to be measuring it. So I'm going to go wall faces, and you can do individual reference or entire walls. I'll just show you the basics now. So I want to measure maybe from that outside face to here, and I'm going to put my dimension roughly here, and that will now give me a dimension of 20 meters. Now this elevation marker, I haven't created an elevation view for this just yet. I'm just going to move this out to here. The other one we can do is we can go aligned, and you can do entire walls. So we're going to select that. It will give you some options on how you want to measure it as well. So openings, intersecting walls, intersecting grids. I'll just leave it on the default, and we'll go here. Oops. We will go here. Let me just do that again. Now this is set to entire wall, so we go here and here. Let me zoom a little bit. So the command's still active, and to here. So that's a kind of a nice tool to start doing some dimensioning, and I'm sure any draftees following along will want everything sort of to look a certain way when it comes to this, and they want all this stuff to be perfectly aligned. Again, these are just set out information. Okay, you know, the real energy should be in the design of the building. Of course, communicating it clearly and effectively and printing it and everything should be nice and sharp, but you don't have to be too accurate about how far these dimensions are apart. Aligned, again, you could use this picking the entire wall. So now I go to the options. I'm going to include the openings, intersecting walls, intersecting grids, and now when I go and select it, it's automatically going to capture a lot more information. So I could bring this to here, for example, and that's gone and done certain things in terms of referencing to the center of that window line. Again, I'll just bring this up a little bit, just for clarity, and these items here, I can bring them in closer to the window, or I can get rid of the leaders should I want to. But very quickly we're starting to capture some dimensions. Now if they don't look perfect here, you can go and grab these items and just pull them away from the dimension location if the scale isn't quite right. If you don't like that leader style, you can turn it off, or you could go to edit types, and you can change a lot of information here. So there's a lot of things you can modify here, and that's just very intuitive. So you can go through and do that sort of style that you want, and if you want to have that leader and you want to edit that type, so instead of having that curvy line there, which some people don't like, we can go and find that particular leader type. So it's an arc, and we don't want the arc, we want a line, and go apply, and that will change it to aligned. So really powerful tool. You can manipulate all this information and tell it how you want it to be working, and this will adjust accordingly. So handy, powerful application for dimensioning. Couple other things we could do here, just to sort of show you about productivity with these tools. Maybe you want to have certain items aligned, so as that when I go move this wall, for example, I always want that door to be tracking against the wall. So you can create relationships with your dimensions. So I'll go and select that leaf face of the door, and at the moment it's 100 mil. I always want it to be 100 mil off the face, so I've got some space for a door handle. I can lock it, and now with that dimension, and again, see it's cutting through the wall, so I can just move it out, and I can turn off my leader line. What I can do here is I can move that wall around, and that door's always gonna track with it. So that's a nice little tool for productivity if you want these things to work for you. And other things you could look at here, so this stuff's all pretty self-explanatory. You could do a spot elevation. So here, if I want to get an idea where the slab's at, or maybe the top of the wall or a ceiling, it's picking up this information. So what I got here, the slab outside here, I've actually made it just 50 mil lower. So here you can actually do like a little spot elevation for that, and here's the internal one. So simple little tools like that. And then this is spot coordinates. This comes down to when you set up your coordinate system. Now at the moment I haven't really bothered to do that, and you might want to follow, like, keeping it from the bottom left hand corner. That's where it is for northings and eastings. There will be some more stuff on that later when we go to our manage workflows and we look at our location, and this will pick up information that's available. Some other things we have available here is dimension on a slope. Now there's no slopes at the moment, but we may have some falls or some ramps. We can start to capture that information. We've got detail lines, region or masking regions. We've got some really powerful component tools, revision clouds, detail groups, and then an installation tool. So just to give you the basics of how we would maybe use these, and I'll probably go a little bit fast. I'll cover this again in a later tutorial. I'm going to go to this view, and instead of choosing that one, I'll choose this one instead. So I'm just selecting that view and going to view. I just don't want any information on it at the moment, like in terms of that view template. And what I want to do here is maybe just look at a simple component in this wall. I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to just focus on that wall just to show you how to use some of these tools. So there's a feature here called a call out, and I want to get right into maybe some information on that wall. Instead of having to do everything inside of Revit in terms of the Revit geometry, I can just work up in 2D in the annotation. So I'll go to that view. Now this one has changed scales. I'm going to do my wall as 1:20 and go to fine. And now I have a bit more information available to me in terms of the roof types and the information in those roofs, what's available with the walls and everything. So for the sake of this one, I'm going to go to annotate. Maybe I want to do a detail line. I want a bit more information. Detail line is pretty much what it says. You can choose thin lines, dash lines, hidden lines. So I'll just do hidden line, for example, and I can go from here and draw a hidden line. Maybe there's something in the background or something you just want to show there. Hidden line, and again with those dimension tools, you can go here and align things. So I want that to be 400. I want to lock that, and maybe here I want to lock it to the wall. So now, just like before with the door, when I pull this across, and it may give us some issues. Let me just see. Let me just do that again. This dimension, I need to lock it here and here. So let me just see if that will work. Lock that to there. And let's see if this will work for me. There we go. So things are starting to flex with it. There was some that was over constrained. But the idea is that these lines will move with that wall. So same sort of principle, you can use the dimensions to control parts of this line type, this annotation geometry, this annotation line type with the actual Revit geometry. You've got regions as well. You can do a masking region if you want to get in here and clean things up. I'll just do a field region. So I want to hatch some stuff, and I'll just hatch this. And maybe I want to do a rectangle, and I want to offset it, say 50 mil. I can go and draw a rectangle here to here, and maybe another rectangle here to here. Continue. Just grab that. Oh, because I did the offset. I'm going to mention that again. We'll just do a very basic. So offset is 50, and I'll just do this as one solid piece. And here we have it filling in. And if you need to go and adjust that, at the moment it is filling in as a solid black. I want it to maybe be red, and I want it not to be solid black. I want it to be hatch. So handy little tools like that, to add all that annotation should you not be ready to do everything inside of Revit just yet. Components, so you've got detail components. Depends what's loaded into your model. So this one has some brickwork. So it's kind of cool. You can just drag all this stuff down, and it will give you some bricks. Of course, you'll need to move all these down accordingly. So you've got the cement information here, but nice handy tools to help you with annotation and drafting productivity. Other components, repeating detail components, you'll have some that will be loaded already in the library. I think this one is just, yeah, this is like the brick one, just repeating, and that sort of cleans it up a bit better than these first ones. And of course, you can align. So I just say multiple alignments. I want to align all those bricks to that base. So I want to align, and again lock that in, and now that annotation information will always move with that wall as the project flexes. So there's some basic little tools. We'll come to revision clouds later, detail groups, and then insulation. I mean, insulation is pretty simple. However, you can load in more information for this if you want to. Insulation is just drawing this from here to here. Pretty simple, and then you can adjust the size of it. So nice and simple. So that was a quick intro to dimensioning, and just touching on how you can use some of these detail tools to work up your extra annotation information inside of Revit without having to do everything in 3D, and then locking, again, using the dimensions to have it track with that wall as it moves around.